Here today, I have with me very gentlemen who are versatile in political affairs of this country, both economic, social, and political development. I have Mr. Lekon, Olamilekan.
Right. Thanks for having me.
Following, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And I have to my right, to my left-hand side, Mr. Stanley Nebosie.
Thank you for having me.
Gentlemen, you are welcome. So today we're going to be extreme. We're going to be digging deep onto the road. We're going to be unveiling the road, what the politicians have to offer Nigerians towards 2023. It's a day Nigeria has a fate with. So let me start with you, Mr. Lekon. We have less than just 3 weeks to the rollout of campaign of the various political parties. What do you think is on the mind of Nigerians? What are they discussing on the streets?
At this point in time, we have to state it. This is an interesting time, and this was in the period of political gladiators gravitating up and down, trying to sway Nigerians to their own side of the divide in terms of when it comes to election 2023. But as your question says, what is on the mind of Nigerians? What is on the mind of Nigerians is going to address the myriad of challenges that we have: the insecurity, the economic problem, education problem, the health problem, the infrastructure problem. That's what is on their mind. And they just hope that you can have a candidate that will have that mind also to be able to deal with issues at hand and be able to help Nigerians so that we can come out of all the damages that have been caused of yesteryears, either by a current politician or politician before, as we stand today.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lekon, it also interests you. From the handwritings that you see of these politicians, do you think there's much that they're going to add, to the so-called manifestos that they have as they prepare, as they launch? And most of them, at least you've been reading about them on social media, and they were looking towards September 28th as the date of the rollout of their campaign. Do you think something is going to come out different?
When you talk about political manifesto from these political parties, somebody would have asked, do they even have manifestos in the first place? As far as Nigerians are concerned, as far as they lack ideology, that means they don't have a manifesto. Even the APC that is currently in government today, how much of the manifesto have been able to use to address some of the challenges that we have? But that has been said. But the major issue is this: come 2023, as the election come, and come next month as the campaign starts, you still hear the same rhetoric statement from politicians: we're going to give you road, we're going to give you water, we're going to give you light, we're going to give you whatever they think in their head, because at the end of the day, these are what they consider as manifesto. So when we consider manifesto in climb with developed countries' political parties, is far, far different in Nigeria. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Lekon. Mr. Stanley, please let me take you on. I want you to interrogate this issue that has been on the media very recently. There's an issue: the parties are disparate; they are not on the same page with themselves. For instance, we know what is happening in PDP. Wiki seems to be like a storm over there. Can you please just analyze as a build-up? And this is not just within PDP alone. There are also internal wranglings among the parties. Can you just shed more light, especially towards as we gravitate towards September 28th?
Thank you very much, Dele. What's happening in the PDP is simply evidence that the 2023 election is a context between the people and the political class. Now, because if we are, just 1 month to the commencement of campaigns formally, if we find ourselves in a situation whereby one stalwart in one political party, the opposition political party, is in conflict with the flag bearer of that party, and is openly in conversation with members of other parties. Okay. And is in conversation with the flag bearer of the ruling party. So it just shows you that these parties are not different.
Okay.
They are not different.
If I may come in, sorry, Mr. Stanley, I'm also aware that some of these so-called politicians are outside of this country. They are in London, to be precisely, or in Paris. Yeah. Do you think that trying to resolve some of these creeping issues, now, would you want to say that trying to, move over overseas, will they be able to offer solutions to some of the challenges that persist at home before 2028, before 28th of September?
They wouldn't. They are there for themselves.
How and why?
They are there for themselves. The Nigerian political landscape is a marketplace.
Okay.
Right? So it's a commercial sector. Okay. The commodity in that commercial sector is the people.
Yes.
It's the people. So these politicians don't have real power. They don't. They just have they have some influence. They control. Let me give you an example. When you look at there's a section of this country where there are certain political actors who come out and say, oh, I have 12 million followers, I have 50 million followers. The question we should ask ourselves is, how did they acquire that 12 million or 50 million followers? What did they do? What did they do? How were they able to win the patronage and the trust and the support of these people?
Okay.
That's how they position themselves. I'll give you an example. The presidential candidate of the NNPP
Yes.
went to, I think it was Nasarawa last week or this week.
That's Kwakwaso.
Kwankwaso, yes.
Yeah.
So there was an accident.
Yes.
I think with his convoy, the vehicle in one of the vehicles in
Lost about 6 persons and died in accident.
and 6 people died.
Yes.
Now, and I say this respectfully, sometimes it is, and I also noticed that I read a report where the governor of Borno State sealed the NNPP office, in the party office in Borno, and said, oh, Kwankwaso, don't come here. What these politicians do is the noise, the razzmatazz. They want to give this impression that we have huge following.
Okay.
You know, in digital marketing, we have this concept. There's a distinction between paid reach and organic reach.
Okay.
Most of these politicians, on the strength of the values that they represent, on the strength of the values that they communicate,
Okay.
what exactly do they bring to the table? They don't bring anything to the table. So now they're in Europe or in England.
Yes.
Now having this conversation amongst themselves.
Okay.
It is their business.
Okay.
It is not about the people. It is their business. They are trying to sort out their own private issues. But I maintain that the 2023 election will be a contest. It is a contest of the people against the political class. Lekon had already highlighted, he gave us the list of issues that we're facing. There's inflation,
yes.
There's rising unemployment,
yes.
There's rising insecurity. I mean, the country is, as one of the candidates said at that NBA event, he said that the country is more or less tilting towards being called a failed state. I mean, the Naira is rapidly falling against the dollar. It's almost 700 naira.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We appreciate. Mr. Lekon, if I may ask you, and I know that you've been you followed the last, the concluded NBA conference. Listening to these gladiators, you're listening to Peter Obi, you were opportune to also listen to Atiku and Tinubu that was represented by his vice president, so to speak. Now, what are your take home? What will you take from this presentation that they made to Nigerians?
I think on a good side of it is that they had the opportunity to tell Nigerians what they think should be the best way to address the challenges of Nigeria. On the other hand, they also had the opportunity to tell Nigerians what their party thinks about the Nigerian challenge. Okay. But the issue is this. I think on the long run, yes. we see both three candidates represented, whether personally or by someone, saying what they feel about the country. Take, for instance, the Atiku Abubakar bashing the federal government of Nigeria, which he knows that part and parcel of the challenges of today was part of what his party, PDP, created. Now, the Nigerian Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, was very sensitive in terms of what he was saying. But at the same time, he said it as easy as it comes out from his mouth. But for me, I don't see it as easy as getting it done. Then for the APC candidate, they have a long way to go, because at this point in time, Nigerians are not too happy with the party. But I see them being the party that will have a big challenge in trying to get candidates or voters
yes.
to their side. But put the three of them together, they have not said anything different from what we have been hearing, and they have not said anything different from what Nigeria is expecting them to say at that kind of podium. But what Nigerians expect them to do or to say have not been said.
Thank you, Lekon. For the APC, they have a long way to go. Mr. Stanley, if I ask you, Peter Obi, I would want to say, is coming in as an underdog. And you know, an underdog is prepared. He's ready to upturn the table at any time. Now, if you look at these guys, for instance, we have heard in 2015 when Buhari was going to sell himself, see Baba was all over the place. The issues at stake then was insecurity and the economy of the state. There was also a corruption that he said he was going to tackle. He bought in and he sold that idea, and Nigerians, and he ran with it. We also know of the fact of, we also know Atiku to be a person that has been, you know, he's been chronicle, what he knows, where he's always banking, he's always banking on economy and all that. So, Stanley, here you are with Peter Obi. He's never been in this kind of ring before. What do you think this guy has to offer?
Okay, it's not... Peter Obi, Atiku, Tinubu, all of them, I think it's... Let me start by answering like this. None of this, and I think the viewers should know this, none of these candidates will be sad if they lose. I mean, none of them will be sad, and when I say sad, comparatively, there is only going to be one winner or one loser come 2023.
Okay.
And the people on the chopping block, the party on the chopping block is the people. If Nigerians make a good decision, Nigerians will reap the rewards of that decision. If Nigerians make a bad call, Nigerians will suffer the consequences of that bad call.
Okay.
Now, when we look at, yes, and in truth, there is Tinubu, there is Atiku, and there is Peter Obi.
Yes. And there is Dr. Adebayo.
And there's Dr. Adebayo. And there is Kwankwaso, Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso.
Yes.
You know, these men, none of them have been presidents before.
Yes.
I mean, yes, people have been going with this idea that, oh, one person is more... No, I mean, none of them have been president before.
Yes.
Tinubu, BAT, is a two-time governor. Peter Obi is a two-time governor.
Yes.
The Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is a two-time vice president. None of them. So it's a new turf for them.
Yes.
For every single one of them. Yes. But for this thing to work, I mean, one of the most energetic campaigns, and in terms of, and when I say energetic, I'm saying energetic in terms of emotion and in terms of the mental dissipation that was involved, was the campaign to bring in the incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay.
So when he came in, he said, oh, he ran his campaign on this anti-corruption fight.
Yes.
The people, everybody, we all bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Yes. And we were like, oh yes, it's going to come in, it's going to change everything. Oh, corruption will die, this, that. And he came out, I mean, there's this video recording of him saying that, what is a subsidy? There's nothing about subsidy. He's coming. This is his 7th year in government, in office as the president, and we are learning that we pay 18.3 billion every day.
Okay. Now, the question that I asked you was that APC year good. We've seen them in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So, if Tinubu was coming in, if the party has an ideology, it means that he's going to toe the ideology.
Yeah.
You understand? And we already know Atiku. We know he's sing song all the time from that. But this is Peter Obi that is coming into the ring, and like maybe probably with a fresh idea, or somebody who is different. So I want you to look at that program. Does this guy, that we so to speak, he has not tasted power at the federal level. Tinubu has been involved in a way because he was part of the party. Yeah. And I can tell you, if you say 3 or 4 ministers, the DGs, Tinubu has been responsible. You know, so it's more or less part and parcel of the APC. I mean, he is. So I want you to actually look at it. What do we expect from Peter Obi?
I was trying to be careful not to appear to be supporting Peter Obi, but let's face the numbers. Peter Obi is the youngest of the leading candidates.
Okay.
He's the youngest one. Number 2, Peter Obi is the only one of the leading candidates who we know built a certain business. Peter Obi was in business before he became governor of Anambra State. He was a chairman of a bank. You know, he's got these other businesses. Peter Obi is also the only one of the leading candidates who we know was given land. And yes, there is evidence that he said, oh no, he doesn't need this. You know, Peter Obi is the only one that we know of the aspirants, of the leading aspirants, who doesn't take pension as governor.
Thank you. How much do you know, if I ask you, sorry, how much do you know about Dr. Adebayo Adewale?
I don't know him.
You don't know? Okay. Well, Dr. Adebayo Adewale, to our viewers of there, is an international lawyer. He operates across the shores of this country. I also know that he's the flag bearer of the Social Democratic Party. We'll try as much as possible. We're going to have him here one of these days, and very quickly he's going to come here so that he can unveil himself. I once heard that he said if he wins, if he becomes the president, he will cry. because of the enormous challenges that's going to face. And if he loses, he will be happy.
Sorry,
well,
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry.
Okay.
Just to clear out something. When I said I don't know him,
yes,
right?
Yes.
I mean, I have to be careful, so it's not like I was derogatory.
Yes.
When I say I don't know him, what I meant was, in terms of the race at the moment,
yes,
and in terms of the people who've dominated the conversation and all, I mean, Dr. Adewale is not, I mean, he hasn't been there. But of course, there's just a point I wanted to make.
Okay.
Governor Seyi Makinde,
yes,
who ran on the platform of the SDP,
yes,
4 years before he became governor.
Yes.
He ran on the platform of that party. And then, I mean, yes, he ran a good campaign, but he didn't win. And he scored very few votes,
yes.
I mean, comparatively.
Yes, because he became governor.
But it didn't change the fact that he was an excellent gentleman. And he is still an excellent gentleman. So when he came back and he came to the PDP and he ran against a formidable candidate in the person of, what's his name, the former Deputy DMD of Central Bank.
Yes, I'll get it.
You know, very formidable man,
yes,
from a formidable political family.
Yes.
You know, when he ran against that man and beat him. So what I'm saying is this. You know, somebody was telling me something once, and he said, "See, it's not just about the people in the big parties.
Yes.
There are also people in other parties that might be less renowned,
okay,
who are excellent candidates. Okay. You know, and I believe that Dr. Adewale is an excellent candidate. Okay. It's just that within the context of the conversation at the moment, I mean, I wish SDP was there. And I think that is what an outsider, in quotes, like Peter Obi, can do for our political class.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stanley. Leko, I'm back again to you. Leko, if you would, in the morning, if you would hang around the newsstands, the arguments on the newsstands that is being bantered is one politician is sick, is not strong enough, and that seems to, you know, a convergence, or rather, not a convergence, now that seems to be an opposing side between one and, you know, the other side. So there seems to be like a kind of tribal interpretation. This time I don't see religion as such. I see a tribal interpretation. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to you. So now on their campaign, the drum will roll out properly. They're going to mount the rostrum to speak to Nigerians, just like as we used to have. What do you think that they should be telling Nigerians?
All right. You know, one thing about Nigerian politics, you have studied Nigerian politics from 1960 to now. You know, out of the, when we are now, Stanley made a session about ethnicity being the drawing board of our campaign in Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, it's going beyond the ethnicity issue. They are now looking at other issues that most of us may not consider very important.
Yes. But
now it's becoming critical. That's why I mentioned the issue of health. Now, Stanley made mention of age within the candidate. Now, what are they going to tell Nigerians? Economy issues, they must raise issues about that. Okay. Insecurity, they must raise issues about education. But apart from all this,
yes,
which are very critical, you may not expect the politicians on the podium of campaign to begin to tell you, I'm going to give ASU 1.5 million, or I'm going to give the professor 1.5 million. They will not go into that. They will not going to tell you, I'm going to kill the old bandit and kidnappers. They will not tell you that. But the simple languages, the simple things that Nigerians want to hear at the campaigns, what they will tell them. APC, progress. PDP, Labour Party, those are the things that you will hear on the campaign ground. The campaign ground is not where people normally hear those critical issues that people will be able to sit down and say, okay, this person is ready for work. But I wish they have the opportunity like a podium like this, yes, and talk to Nigerians so that there will be phone conversation. Yes. Somebody can call from Maiduguri, somebody can call from Makurdi, somebody can call from Lagos, somebody can come from Yenego and ask, Mr. President or Mr. Kanye, what do you think you would do for us in this area, So for me, campaign podium is not always the best place to tell Nigerians. Whether the politician will tell Nigerians what they feel they want to hear, and no more than the jamborees and the music. Campaign
podium is not the best place. It's not the best set where the deliverables will be taken to Nigerians. Thank you so much. Now, Stanley, again, I'm here. Nigerians, if you check our educational rate advancement, between 1960 and now, we have had more Nigerians. We have had so much graduates. So they should understand what tribalism is about. and the bad blood, the negativity of what tribal issues can play in the role of a political parties. In America, let me say in Canada, you also have you have people who speak French in Canada, you have people who speak English, and there are so many other countries like that, I can't remember exactly, but I'll come back to that, where they have also different languages and different tribes. Here in Nigeria, we've grown. We now have the youth populace who are educated. They can use the social media, to bring about leadership. Now, do you think that this education will really have an impact on the voting patterns, especially of the youth? Because we have so much of our youth, in terms of the fact that they are educated, it is no longer about tribe. A person from Benue State is marrying Edo, is marrying a Yoruba. That is what you see. If you count about 10 guys in Nigeria today, I can tell you that 5 of them are marrying not from where they come from. So, in terms of the old politics that we used to have, where it is based on tribe, Abodo, you must be a Yoruba person. Tafa Balewa, you must be an outside person. Do you think this is really going to shape the outcome of 2023?
Okay, I think if I'll just a rough estimate. As at 2015, the leading driver, the leading factor for determining who would be voted for, who would win, or who one would vote for was ethnicity.
Okay.
So if I say that at about 70%, as at today, that has dropped.
Okay.
It is somewhere around 50%, but it is still the highest.
Okay.
Ethnicity is still the main driver.
Okay.
The only difference is Nigerians have gone through a rough time.
Yes.
The last 8 years, the last 7 years has been difficult. I mean, people thought it was difficult under Jonathan, but it has been difficult.
Yeah.
Nigerians have gone. So what Nigerians have done is that Nigerians have come together to unite in pain.
Yes.
But here is the thing. There is a demography of Nigerians that is worst hit by the crisis, the economic crisis.
Yes.
And of course, the insecurity hits this.
Yes.
And that demography is the youth population.
Yes.
Nigeria has a median age of 18 years.
Yes.
That's the median age of Nigeria. comparing it to, say, England, the UK, the United Kingdom has a median age of about 43. So if the youth population is the population worst hit by the travails that Nigerians have been through, what that tells you is that the youth, the age, the demography, the young population will come close to ethnicity. Okay. They will come close to ethnicity. Okay. Yes, in terms of ethnicity will still be, I mean, let me just to conclude, sir. Yeah. In the southwest, the chance of a young person from the southwest voting for another candidate that aligns with their views or who they think they believe in is just as high. As, I mean, it's even higher than, so, I mean, across the south, yes, that has evened out, but in the north, there are still people in the north, and you made reference to education. Yes. Education prevalence in the north, we still have a lot of people not educated in the north. I mean, a state like Kano, for instance, that has been scoring, that has made a lot of progress as far as education is concerned. In Kano, the literacy level in Kano is still somewhere around 45%. It's still low. But they've made progress. It's 45%. Yes. Comparing it to, say, an Anambra state where literacy level is at 92%. Yes. So yes, the illiteracy level or the low literacy level in the north will still influence, will still make people vote along religious and ethnic lines. Okay. But you won't see that in the southwest.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. Mr. Lekon, let me get just a backdrop from where he stopped. We're looking at, the very virile Nigerian youths. They've been educated both home and abroad. They understand the dynamics, what the role of politics in the economic growth of any nation and all that. So the ball is, again, coming back to them. If it is good, they benefit. If it is bad, they are hard hit, just like Stanley pointed out. Do you think that education will play a role for the youths in this 2023 elections?
Very well. Education is supposed to, in my own understanding, supposed to play a role, but what form of education are our youth having? That's the question we ask. To have a formal education, you go to university, you go to polytechnic, you have master's, PhD. It's different from the education of knowing what is right to be done in your society. It's far, far different. The education that we're having for our youth is empowerment for blue-collar jobs. But what about education that shows you how to understand the dynamics of your environment? We've been talking about economy, I'm talking about politics, but to my greatest surprise, most of our youth may also lack history about the environment. There was a day me and Stanley, we were on this same set, we talk about the history of Nigeria, the economic history, political history. How many of Nigerians understand that, especially the youth? Recently, someone wrote something about the economic of Africa, how Africa is going to be underdeveloped as a result of European and other powers' encroachment into the economy. None of our youth understand that. We're talking about APC not being able to deliver what is about as promised. We're talking about what the new set of presidential candidates will be promising us. But how many of us will be able to ask them that, how will you be able to do it, even with the effect or impact of Western powers?
Thank you so much. Stanley, please, I want you to just wrap up in 2 minutes, and then we have 2 minutes to wrap up, and then that will be the end of today's show. I want to believe that listeners, you're taking home what we have. So, Stanley, just wrap up this discussion around the campaign that is about to open. It's a new chapter in Nigeria's history. September is the date, 28 towards 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The state of California today announced that by 2035, they will stop the sale of fossil-fueled vehicles by 2035. So they started, there's a gradation. So they said by 2026, they would reduce the sale of fossil-fueled vehicles. In fact, that's the sale of electronic vehicles, 35% of the vehicles sold will be electric powered.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where the world is going to. 2035 is not too far away from 8 years of whoever wins in 2023. Yes. What that means is that it is not just about, I remember when we're talking about sustainable development goal, millennium development goals. You're not waiting until 2020 or 2000 together. No, you start working from the start. But here is what we've discussed today, and what the viewers need to understand is that, first and foremost, politicians are traders. They are businessmen. The only reason why anybody would have gone to a primary and paid delegates to vote him to nominate their party was because he was making an investment, and he has it on the back of his mind that someday he's going to reclaim his investment. There will be an ROI paid to him.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Politicians are traders. They are not patriotic. They are not, so to speak, 100% patriotic. They are not nationalists. And viewers out there, we're going to be coming back. We'll be looking at politicians as traders, whether they are patriotic. Why are they out there? Why are they campaigning? What stake do they have? Finally, as we round up in this edition, Mr. Lincoln, just drop a word for our listeners.
I think what is there for our listeners, we have opened up the vesta of narration of the conversation around 2023 general election. Now the voters have to think, and think rightly. Voters,
you've been asked to think very rightly. The ball is in your court. 2023 is here. The campaign drums is rolled out in 28th of September, which is not next month. So as we come back again, and as you join us again, we just hope that we'll work together in good faith, with one hand, and produce the Nigerian that we want to be. Thank you.